It is 6:51, very placid water we're looking across. Good morning, everybody. It's 20 now, 29 the high in the sunshine. Later today, Ron Wretham is here. He's the CEO of ISN, but also is formerly a sergeant with the Toronto Police, and you worked with the Emergency Task Force?
I did, yeah.
Good morning. Nice to have you here. So we have heard that Ontario has made the decision to move ahead with allowing officers to carry tasers. So the likelihood is now, each will decide amongst themselves which officers should carry them. But we are going to be seeing a lot more of this device out on the street. So we wanted to have you in to talk about what exactly is it and how does it work? So is it firing an electrical charge? Is it a mild electrocution? What is it?
Yeah, so probably one of the best analogies to use when looking at how a taser works is look at a telephone conversation. So if you and I were having a telephone conversation and then suddenly there was interference in the telephone conversation, and then the interference stopped and we went back to our normal conversation, that's kind of how a taser works on the nervous system in the body. And the electrical system. All of our bodies have an electrical system, of course, to keep our hearts beating. And so the taser kind of interrupts or causes an interference within that electrical system. And as soon as the officer finishes depressing the trigger on the taser, then that interference stops and we go back to normal flow of electricity in the body. That's basically how it works.
Now, critics of this plan say this is a Band-Aid solution because tasers can be just as dangerous as guns. In fact, there's been several cases here in Canada where it's actually killed people.
My opinion differs.
Yeah.
I think tasers are a great alternative. However, we do have to still train our officers to be able to talk through situations. I mean, we can't look at a taser. The taser is not a panacea to all of these types of situations. The officers still have to be able to diffuse it verbally. However, the cases of tasers actually causing a death are very rare. Look, we all have different systems within our bodies, and perhaps if someone is tasered and I already have a heart defect or there's something in the electrical system of my body that just doesn't react well with it, yes, it could cause a problem.
That being said, there have been deaths. The question is it possible to potentially have a lower charge to reduce the likelihood of somebody getting seriously injured or dying, or is there an alternative to just using the taser? Can we have different degrees of using it?
Yeah, and the way it works is it depends on how long the officer depresses the trigger to keep that interference in the electrical system going.
Are the officers trained to use it for a certain period of time? Yeah. Because you also have to keep their emotions in check as well. Exactly. How much training is devoted to that?
Well, there is, the training is extensive. I mean, officers are taught not only how to use it, but what situations to use it in and how it can be used, and then the officers also are tasered themselves during the training, so they know what sort of force that they are giving to someone else.
Every officer that uses one has to actually experience one as well?
But I'm wondering about this. I mean, you have a gun, you can stand real far and shoot somebody, so therefore the police officers have a certain buffer and they're somewhat protected, and we want our officers to be safe as well when they're facing these criminals. But with a taser, you've got to get up pretty close.
About
I mean,
10 meters.
Really 10 meters?
Yeah.
So you don't have to be right next to them.
So it fires sort of, it works sort of in two ways. It can work right on contact. So there's two prongs, if you will, in the front. So it can work on direct contact, or it can be fired from about 10 meters away.
And these little nodes will hit the
and
individual.
It kind of looks like Spider-Man almost, doesn't it? Where it's like something shoots out and attaches.
And then there's different models now. So there's the first model shot one set of prongs. There's models out now that'll shoot two more prongs if you at the same not at the same time, but in shortly thereafter. And then there's another one that goes into a shotgun and can be projected through a shotgun. It looks like it's just a little almost looks like a shotgun shell coming out, and it has the two prongs on it.
So does it effectively stop the individual cold in their tracks? Most people who are hit by a taser, boom, that's it, they're done?
It causes their muscles to contract, and like a perfect example where I've seen a taser work very effectively. When I was a uniformed staff sergeant during my career, we'd have somebody in the cells, and a very violent guy was trying to harm himself in the cells. Traditionally we'd send in half a dozen officers and there'd be a big Donnybrook in the cells and somebody's going to get hurt, whether it's the officer or the... And, you know, I've seen tasers used in those applications where we just zap the person, if you will, quickly, they go down,
And
we
how
go
much
in and
time
arrest
do
them.
you have when they go down? Are they down for a little while?
They are. It takes, you know, takes the body
10
of...
minutes?
Takes the fight out of
Yeah, it
somebody,
does.
that's for sure.
Exactly.
So in the case of Sammy Yatim,
Yeah.
you're a former sergeant with the Toronto Police Services. Yeah. Why would an officer decide to use a gun before a taser when they're facing someone with a knife?
Well, facing someone with a knife in the Sammy Yatim situation, I think, are two different sort of situations. To answer your question, someone faced with a knife. Someone who's proficient with a knife, like, you know, it's been proven time and time again, they can come at a person with a gun and take that person out with a gun before the person gets a chance to draw their gun and actually fire. Someone who's proficient with a knife can be extremely dangerous. The Sammy Yatim situation, I think, is a little different. I think there's real difficulties with that. Mm-hmm. However, you know, going now to the situation that's in the news where all officers may be equipped with tasers. That officer could have, if he had a taser, could have been another use of force option. But the way it is right now, he had to call for a sergeant. Well, where's the sergeant? The sergeant could have been in the station booking a prisoner, and so it's just not practical the way it is right now.
So are you a fan of this idea? We have to wrap it up. But you think-
Absolutely.
yeah.
100%. I think it's good for community safety. I think it's good for officer safety.
Ron Wretham, thank you so much, CEO of ISN, that's Investigative Solutions Network, and formerly with Toronto Police Emergency Task Force Services.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much. It's just about 7 o'clock. We'll be back with your headlines and your updated forecast. It's a hot one once again. See you in a second.